Hey YouTube, bedankt alvast voor het kijken naar deze video. Deze video is geweldig. Ik hoop dat jullie allemaal het einde van de video halen. Het is een kleine verrassing namelijk op het einde van de video. Vergeet sowieso niet te liken, te abonneren. En laat gewoon iets in de comments achter, man. Kijk hoe het gaat.
It's already been established that Reddit isn't always home to the most innocent content. Sure, you can find cat videos galore, but there is always something going on in the corners of the site.
True.
From disturbing posts, users, and subreddits, it's hard to deny that Reddit has a disturbing and sinister side. With that being said, today we are going to look into the most disturbing Reddit posts ever made. Before we hop in the video, I just wanted to tell you to keep going. I know it feels like the weight of your troubles are crushing at times, but I assure you that you'll pull through. A lot of people suffer in silence nowadays, so make sure that you're expressing your feelings in a healthy manner to a trusted person in your life. Please, take care of yourself. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, enough of my blabbering. Let's hop in today's video.
Okay. Waar doet mijn screensaver?
The first case that we're going to be looking into dates back to a 7-year-old Reddit comment on r/AskReddit. A user asked the question, to those who accidentally killed someone, what went wrong?
Holy.
The post had over 10,000 comments on it, most of which were stories of users that /heavily injured somebody from common situations like car accidents. But there was one post in particular that stood out.
Okay.
A user who admitted to likely killing a mentally handicapped child when he was younger. Although the post has been removed by admins, one user named AD33DVF9 managed to grab the original post. This still haunts me to this day. As kids, we had a hideout in this dirt cliff/cove. The best approximation I can find on Google, only 3 times taller and probably 10 times as wide. There was a neighborhood kid who, in hindsight, was probably mentally handicapped in some way, but to us, he was just the weird/creepy kid. This was the 80s and we weren't exactly raised PC. 3 of us were headed to our base and found Creepy Kid sitting at the top in our guard chair. We yelled at him to get out, and he said something like, "Make me," and started lobbing dirt and sticks down at us. We all ran around the side to make our way up. It gets pretty fuzzy here, but all I remember is he fell. I still remember the sound. When we got back down to check on him, he was in a very awkward position with blood coming out of his mouth. We all just freaked out and ran home, and as far as I know, no one has spoken a word of this to anyone. We didn't go back for over a month and never said a word of it between us. Again, this was the 80s, so the media wasn't like today. Chances are it got a small article in the newspaper B section, missing mentally disabled child found dead after fall. Over the next few hours, his post would gather a few thousand upvotes and hundreds of comments questioning his motives and trying to find out all they could about the situation. Most assume that he/his friends ended up bullying and pushing the kid off of the cliff. Others felt it was simply made up, and tons of other Redditors were trying to encourage him to contact family members of the weird kid in question or even go to law enforcement. Users explained that since he was a kid at the time of murder, he probably wouldn't be prosecuted for it. The next morning, the user returned and added information to his post. Well, I didn't expect to wake up to this. I have no idea why we didn't collectively tell our parents. We all just booked it for our respective homes without saying a word. I think it was mainly because he was the weird kid, and we all thought that would get us in trouble somehow. No, I don't think we were directly responsible. Indirectly, maybe. Again, it's fuzzy, and all I remember is us throwing sticks at each other. I have tried to find any record of him to no avail. I remember the neighborhood kids from those days, first names, but not the last. I've since moved a few 100 miles away and didn't keep in touch. I don't even remember the creepy kid's first name. I have looked blindly for any record of the kid and have spent hours on Facebook trying to find my old friends, but haven't found anything yet. No, I don't know if he actually died or not that day. All I have to go off of is my mom mentioning him going missing and us not seeing him around after that. One user in particular took the challenge to try to solve this case and linked it back to Scott Kleesholt, a 9-year-old boy who went missing in 1988. While many users felt the body should have easily been found when police did a full-scale search for Scott, the original post mentioned that there was a big thunderstorm coming when they left the scene. According to Scott's police report, Scott was last seen not far from his home in the 3300 block of Leverins Drive, walking near a wooded area known as the Trails. It was just before a fierce thunderstorm swept through the area. Some Redditors made a case that the storm may have swept the kid's body into a river or the woods at the bottom of the trails.
Okay.
If you look at the image he gave showing the area, you may see how this could be possible. A different Reddit user who lives in St. Charles says that they remember the story and explained the location that is now Fox Hill Park in St. Charles had dirt trails and several steep gorges cutting through it in 1990. In the comments, someone asked if they had ever found a body or saw the kid again. The user explained that he had, quote, "No idea. We were kids, maybe 10 to 12-ish, so we didn't exactly watch the news or read the paper. Even if our parents knew, I don't think they would have mentioned it to us at that age."
Yeah.
I did ask my parents maybe 10 years ago if they remembered him, and they said something along the lines of, "Yeah, didn't he go missing?" And that's about as far as I wanted to push it. A few hours later, the Reddit moderators removed the post and all of the comments, claiming that it was potential doxing. There is no evidence to say that law enforcement reopened the case or is searching for Scott's body again. This post can take you through a range of emotions. It doesn't help that the family allegedly still lives in the same house that once housed their child. It's absolutely tragic what happened to Scott and their family, and I hope that one day closure is given to them.
Okay, woke.
The second story that we'll look into is that of Daniel Vincent Kelly, a neighbor who may have lost his mind. In November of 2022, a user named The Digital Weeb posted a story to the popular subreddit r/letsnotmeet about a man who he'd call a possibly deranged man with a camera stalked and filmed me and my friend's family, threatening us and doing creepy things at night. The user details a story that dates back to at least 2015, according to the video, which we'll get to in a minute. The user, named Charlie, often slept at his friend Billy and his brother Jack's house over the weekend. He explains that there was a reclusive neighbor who lived a little up the hill from them. You know, one of those neighbors who always have a problem and everything is just awful and they're shouting at kids and stuff, that type. Well, Charlie and his friends would avoid this grumpy man as much as possible, but things started getting particularly weird on one of the nights, and it only just got worse from there. As Charlie explains in his post, "One night, I heard creaking on their balcony outside while I was sleeping in the living room. The living room had 3 large windows facing the balcony next to the street, and the door to the left. I was having trouble sleeping since me and the friends had been playing horror games. I looked out the window and saw the flash of light from the balcony. I understandably flipped the F out, and the parents came running and ran out onto the balcony, where they caught a glimpse of a man sprinting away. We stayed up that night, eating snacks, just kind of vibing while scared."
What the fuck?
They couldn't automatically assume that this was the neighbor, but over the next few weeks, it was clear that it was the grumpy neighbor who was in Billy's yard that night. The next weekend I was there, a man showed up at the door with a camera recording us without us knowing for a few minutes. The father went out there and started yelling at him as he followed him up the road, and the police were called. Charlie would later find out that the neighbor's name was Daniel Vincent Kelly, as you may have guessed at this point. This incident in particular was recorded by Daniel and uploaded to YouTube.
Whoa.
In the video, you see Daniel walk up to the house, shouting between Billy's father and Daniel, and almost everything from Daniel's perspective.
"And then I'll see you in court."
For what?
"Oh, you don't remember that your dog came out here and attacked my dog a minute ago?"
According to Daniel's video, one of Billy's dogs ran out and attacked Daniel's dogs on the street. This is why Daniel was at the house and freaking out about the whole situation. So, after Daniel's dog was attacked, which I can't find evidence to say if that actually happened or not, Daniel called the cops to complain. As you may see in the video, he starts off by shouting at the person on the other line and refusing to cooperate.
Where you were calling.
Right, and I told you, it's immaterial. It doesn't matter where I'm standing.
Daniel then makes a claim that between the dogfight and the time he returned to Billy's house, they changed the door, which had allegedly had a hole in the screen, and that's how the dogs got out. In Charlie's post, he verifies that the door Daniel refers to never existed. So, Daniel is outside shouting at Billy's father, who eventually chases him away. Because the father chased Daniel, he calls the police. In the video, Daniel tries to do a citizen's arrest on Billy's father for assaulting Daniel. The assault being that Billy's father chased him in an aggressive way, even though he never physically touched Daniel. Though in the video, you can clearly see the father does threaten Daniel a bit.
You gonna kick me off the public property?
Get out of my goddamn face!
Oh, really? Really? Okay, I can't stand on the public sidewalk.
As Charlie put it in the post, I'll admit, the father didn't handle it the best, but hey, we were all stressed as hell and it was becoming a lot. Later in the video, you can see Daniel start to get a little paranoid as he believes the father is now stalking his house.
What the
Taking a little
fuck?
walk down here. I caught this guy. He was like doing weird stuff in the bush here. He bothered to gather up a couple of sticks real quick to walk out of the woods, making it look like he's collecting firewood.
That's where the video stops, but according to Charlie, Daniel kept obsessing over the family, and each weekend, the kids would notice the stalker vibes from Daniel. The next weekend, we saw Daniel Vincent Kelly down in the far distance in a large parking lot we could see nearby a lake. He was riding his bike, shirtless, in circles under a large spotlight, sometimes looking up at the house. We were understandably horrified, and the man was clearly mentally ill. He vanished from the spotlight, and for the remainder of the night, we were holed up by the windows with weapons in case he tried to record us or break in. The next weekend, we woke up in the night to a loud noise. We found his bike sitting up against the edge of the house, on the property. We grabbed weapons and kept an eye out that night and contacted authorities again. They found Daniel Vincent Kelly and informed us of a YouTube channel he had.
What the fuck?
Kelly's YouTube channel has been around since early 2007, with random videos here and there. The video we showed above is allegedly one of the many videos where Kelly recorded Charlie, Billy, and Jack. He posed a massive issue for Billy's family. Charlie claims that at least 10 of the videos featured me, and almost all of them featured my friend, some of them long before my first encounter with him. Some of them even had Daniel uttering threats, which was terrifying. Charlie claims that the other videos were taken down or deleted due to legal troubles with being non-consensually filmed. This man prevented Charlie from sleeping at his friend's going forward, and Charlie says he and his friends haven't seen Daniel in quite some time.
Damn.
That's because, according to Daniel's Facebook, he has now passed away.
Rip.
It's likely that Daniel had some sort of paranoia or schizophrenia.
100%.
In this video, he claims that he's being stalked by police consistently, and in this video, he's convinced that the police are trying to kidnap him. At the start of this video, Daniel seems to be walking around with a rifle, which, if Charlie had looked through his videos, may have freaked him out even more.
Damn. Heftig.
Major SA warning on this one. This post is very grotesque in its details, so I just wanted to warn you before we went any further. It's really heavy. The post was made 8 years ago when a user created a throwaway account to reply to the r/ask Reddit question. Redditors who have had to kill in self-defense. Did you ever recover psychologically? What is it like to live knowing you killed someone, regardless if you did or didn't want to do it? The story he told the world was horrifying. The man explained that he lived in San Francisco East Bay back in 1995. He had a wife and a 20-month-old daughter, and they lived in a 2-story house. The user says that he was
Als je een strafbaar feit hebt gedaan wat nog niet verjaard is, en je bent zo erg in detail aan het praten, is dat niet slim.
an avid gamer who, as per usual, would play games with headphones on and block out the outside world. One quiet Saturday morning, I was in my office playing Command & Conquer on my computer with
Goeie
my
game.
headphones on. I'd probably been playing for an hour or so when, during one particularly quiet moment, I faintly heard my wife cry out downstairs. Knowing that she was down there with our daughter, I pulled my headphones off to see if she needed any help with anything. Until the day I take my last breath, I'll never forget what I heard when I pulled them off. I heard the voice of a man with a thick Mexican accent shout, "Quit yelling, bitch, or I'll fuck your head off and fuck your daughter." My daughter was crying hysterically. After that, it was like some switch was thrown in me and my brain just shut off. I wasn't making decisions. I just acted. I don't even remember pulling the .45 from the lockbox in my desk. I just remember walking down the stairs slowly, scared as hell that I was going to see my wife dead when I reached the bottom. Instead, I saw my wife, half naked, bent over the couch, bleeding from somewhere in her upper body while being ripped from behind by some burly guy. Over the next few moments, the user's instincts just kicked in as he silently walked up to the guy and grabbed the arm which had a knife in it. The intruder turned around and, as the user explains, he shot him. He had apparently shot the man 3 times before he just dropped the weapon and went to go get his daughter. According to the user, it was the first shot that killed the assailant. He explained that it wasn't the fact that he killed this man that haunts him. Instead, it's that his daughter, just 1.5 years old, watched her father kill somebody. He explains that he didn't even check on his wife, but just grabbed his daughter and walked out the front door. The neighbors had heard the gunshots and called the police. The user asked his neighbor to hold his daughter as he went inside to check on his wife. The neighbors asked me if I had shot her, and I told him no. No, I shot the man who was raping her. I didn't realize at the time that I had the guy's blood spraying over half my body, and that I looked like something out of a horror movie. His wife had been stabbed twice, and the intruder had been assaulting her for 10 minutes before the husband heard what happened. I was sitting 30 feet away and had no idea it was going on, and that fact has fucked with me for years. The intruder was a man who had already been convicted of 2 similar cases, one of which was on a 9-year-old girl. The DA explains that they weren't too happy with the circumstances, as the intruder hadn't attacked him specifically. Therefore, it was more of an execution rather than a defense when the husband shot him. As you'd imagine, wearing headphones became a trigger for him. Even after years of counseling, over-ear and noise-canceling headphones give him panic attacks. In the comments, the user explained that his wife never blamed him for anything that happened that day, but he blamed himself. He had felt like a total failure as a father and as a husband for a very long time. And I can't imagine what it must be like to go through something like this. It's one thing to have killed somebody, but to know your family is in desperate need of your help while you were just oblivious in the next room is a haunting thought.
Heftig.
The Reddit posts that we dove into today were nothing short of horrific. Honestly, I need to go look at some cat videos after this. This one was...
Ja, laten we kattenvideo's
it was
kijken.
pretty rough.